This is an area where I have several different colorful lilies next to about 15 tomato plants that we will eventually get cages on. And it's right next to the eaves trough, but that's okay because the rainwater will help water the tomatoes, so that's actually a benefit. This is a perennial garden bed with flowers and a couple weeds that still need to be weeded out. But we also plant about 10 tomatoes in this area, and it gets to be full and beautiful. This is my big perennial bed that still needs weeded and mulched. I also have a couple peppers planted within them to see how they do because I love to use as much space as I have. This is another garden area I have where I have in the very back along the fence marigolds and basil planted. And then with the twine, I have 2 rows of several different kinds of tomatoes growing down the twine. We're going to do a Florida weave method. I still have other things I need to plant. Here are 3 already planted tomato plants, and then there are some potted tomato plants that my daughter planted wildflowers, and they turned out to be tomatoes because of the compost. All along the fence I have peas growing. I still have other flowers that need to be planted. Underneath the tree I have some spinach growing to keep it protected from the heat and the sun. These are all just different, mostly heirloom tomatoes that I'm going to use for canning. Back here are 3 rows of tomatoes. This first row is cherry tomatoes. We have some walking onions along the fence back there, and then this little field, or patch I should say, it's definitely not a field, of corn is my daughter's. She planted it all by herself, worked up the dirt, got it all ready. All along here we have some onions, 2 rows of sweet onions and red onions, I believe. My husband planted those, so I'm not sure. We have tons of volunteer sunflowers in the back from last year that seeds dropped, and lots of milkweed that I'll be leaving for the butterflies. These are some established strawberry plants that actually are pretty full of strawberries. They were beautiful with flowers just a week ago, and you can see all the strawberries coming in. This is something new I'm trying this year. We ordered a lot more strawberry plants, and we don't have a lot of room in our yard because we live in a city lot. So I have decided to give these a try and see how they work. I have about 100 strawberries to plant in here. Hopefully they work out. I will also be planting a flower on the top so it's pretty. This is my view of my beautiful perennial beds and some of my tomatoes from one of my spots that I sit in the yard, along with the grass that's run from the dogs and the hose that's left out for my daughter watering this morning. Over here we still need to do mulching. We have broccoli back there, and all along the fence we have marigolds and cucumbers growing, slicing cucumbers for the neighbors. And then we also have, it's hard to see, a couple rows of cabbage right here. And then over here we have a couple rows of cauliflower. I got them in late, but hopefully they'll do good. We have all these raspberries that we've had for years. That's our compost. It's not pretty, but it works. There's our box of lettuce. There's a little pot of strawberries and some more raspberries. Along this little trellis we have a couple cucumber plants planted. And then all down here we have 2 rows, which still needs to be mulched also, of zucchini or squash, winter squash, summer squash, spaghetti squash, all kinds of different squashes and zucchinis. We also have rows of pickling cucumbers and marigolds going all along the fence. We have some chicken wire fence to keep the dogs out of the garden. Down here, so this big plant over here is a plant that I started from seed. And then you can see there's a plant here, here, and over here. And those are all plants that I bought. And I just love to see the difference between seed. And I've never started zucchini from seed before putting it into the ground. And it's doing great, and I'm going to do that next year for sure. I've always just direct sowed the seeds into the ground, and they still do great. You can do it that way. I'm still going to do that in other areas of our garden. But this was a plant that I just gave a try for the first time by seed in the house, and it did wonderful. Along with all of these squash seeds down here. Sorry about all the weeds, but we still are going to be mulching. This is my way overdue ready to pick rhubarb. And I have picked some off and shared some, and I still need to pick more off. The leaves are absolutely beautiful and big, and if I pick it, we can get about 2 to 3 more pickings this year. This box is mostly weeds, it looks like, but we did plant some lettuce and seeing how that's going to do. But it's pretty warm here now, so I'm not sure we'll get too much, but it looks like there's some in there, so that's exciting. This is a big, beautiful bush that has beautiful yellow flowers on it that attracts so many pollinators when it blooms in the fall. So this year we've also planted zinnias and everything. This is the first year we're giving potatoes a try. We've got 2 tiers on there, and they're ready for the 3rd tier and more dirt and compost, but it's looking beautiful and I'm super excited. In these 2 big lower green pots, I have tons of herbs, and I have some lettuce on the steps and some kale behind the cute flower pots. We moved the garden back this year to put up our fence for our yard to keep our jumper dog in, and we have all this voluntary lettuce and onions that came in, so I'm just letting them do their thing, and I'll probably plant more here. Up here is a little pumpkin patch area. I have a couple regular pumpkins growing just for the girls to carve that I bought from plants. I will also be planting seeds of pumpkins within here. I just haven't got to it yet. These are some hot peppers that Tony, my husband, bought. They actually have little peppers on them, so that's pretty cool. Trying to. And then right here I have a white pumpkin growing that I grew from a seed, so we'll see how that does. I've never grown a white pumpkin before, so I'm excited. Thank you for coming along on my garden tour, and I will have plenty more to share because we're going to be planting much more. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my silly gardening video that I absolutely love.